You want to know the craziest part about what the Dodgers are about to do this offseason? It's not that they're already the reigning World Series champions. It's not that they have the best player on the planet in Shohei Ohtani, or that Mookie Betts just played an entire postseason at shortstop like he's been doing it his whole life. The crazy part is that they're about to get significantly better, and the rest of baseball can't do a damn thing to stop it. We're talking about Kyle Tucker, one of the most complete players in baseball, potentially landing in Los Angeles to form what might be the most terrifying lineup this sport has seen in decades. Right now, across baseball operations offices from New York to San Francisco, general managers are watching the Dodgers with this mixture of admiration and absolute dread. Because while most championship teams take a victory lap, maybe run it back with minor tweaks, the Dodgers are doing what they always do. They're hunting, they're not satisfied, they won a World Series, and immediately started asking themselves how they could be even more dominant next season. That mentality, that refusal to coast on past success, that's what separates dynasties from one-hit wonders. Kyle Tucker's name has been circulating in Dodgers rumors for weeks now, and the conversation is getting louder every single day. ESPN analysts, MLB Network insiders, beat reporters who live and breathe this stuff, they're all connecting the same dots. The Dodgers have massive payroll flexibility opening up, Tucker is the best outfielder available in free agency, and Los Angeles desperately needs an upgrade in left field after Michael Conforto's disaster of a season. This isn't complicated math. This is inevitability staring everyone in the face. Steve Phillips and the MLB Network crew broke down Tucker's market value recently, and the consensus was fascinating. 4 months ago, people were throwing around $500 million for Tucker like it was a realistic number. Now? That figure has dropped considerably. Phillips doesn't think Tucker gets to $500 million anymore, maybe not even $400 million depending on how negotiations play out. Tucker dealt with injuries this past season, missing significant time, and while everyone acknowledges the talent is elite when he's healthy, general managers are going to use that injury history as leverage to drive the price down. Here's where it gets interesting for the Dodgers. If Tucker's market settles somewhere in the $300 to $350 million range instead of pushing $400 million or beyond, Los Angeles becomes an even more likely destination. They have the money. They have the need. They have the winning culture that makes players want to take slightly less guaranteed money for a legitimate shot at championships. The Dodgers didn't become a dynasty by overpaying for players. They became a dynasty by identifying the right players and structuring deals that provide maximum value while maintaining roster flexibility. Andrew Friedman, the Dodgers' president of baseball operations, is a genius at this. He's the guy who convinced Shohei Ohtani to defer the vast majority of his historic contract, freeing up payroll space to build around him. He's the guy who signed Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Tyler Glasnow while still maintaining financial flexibility. Now he's got $87 million coming off the books this offseason with Chris Taylor, Clayton Kershaw, Michael Conforto, and others either retiring or not being brought back. That's not pocket change. That's enough money to completely reshape a roster. The question everyone keeps asking is whether the Dodgers will actually go after Tucker aggressively or if they'll take a more measured approach. Jeff Passan from ESPN laid out both scenarios pretty clearly. The Dodgers could absolutely make a massive play for Tucker if they want to. They have the resources. But they might also approach this similar to how they handled Bryce Harper years ago, offering a shorter-term deal with extremely high average annual value rather than committing to 10 or 12 years. Tucker, being 28 and entering what should be his prime earning years, probably wants that long-term security. This is his big payday, his chance to set himself and his family up for generations. He's not likely to accept a short-term deal, even if the AAV is astronomical. That's where teams like the Mets, Cubs, Blue Jays, and Giants come into play. All of them have been mentioned as potential landing spots for Tucker, and all of them can compete financially with the Dodgers if they choose to. The Mets under Steve Cohen have essentially unlimited money and a desperate need to prove they can build a winner. The Cubs are trying to return to relevance after years of mediocrity. Post their 2016 championship, the Blue Jays need star power to complement Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. And the Giants, well, they'd love nothing more than to land a star the Dodgers want just to keep him out of Los Angeles. But here's the thing. Money talks, but winning screams. Players say all the time that they want to compete for championships, and then they sign with teams offering the most guaranteed dollars, even if those teams have no realistic path to October. Tucker might be different. He spent his entire career with the Houston Astros, a consistently excellent organization that's been to the ALCS seemingly every year. He knows what winning culture feels like. He knows what it's like to be surrounded by elite talent where everyone is pulling in the same direction. If he's being honest with himself about what he wants in his next chapter, the Dodgers offer something no other team can match right now. Immediate championship contention, a roster loaded with superstars who will take pressure off him, and a front office that's proven it can sustain excellence year after year. Clint Pasillas and Scott from the Dodgers discussion channels have been breaking this down from every possible angle, and their analysis really captures what Dodgers fans are feeling right now. This team needs outfield help desperately. Conforto was supposed to be a solid platoon option against right-handed pitching, and he was absolutely brutal. Couldn't hit, couldn't provide any sort of consistent production, and ultimately became a liability the Dodgers had to work around. They didn't make a move at the trade deadline to upgrade left field because they thought Conforto might figure it out. He never did, and now they're entering an offseason knowing they have to address that hole. The list of available outfielders isn't particularly inspiring beyond Tucker. Cody Bellinger is out there, and there's definitely some nostalgic appeal to bringing him back after watching him rediscover his swing in Chicago. But Bellinger isn't the MVP candidate he was in 2019. He's a solid player, a good defender, someone who can contribute in multiple ways, but he's not the difference maker Tucker is. Then you've got guys like Trent Grisham, Harrison Bader, Mike Yastrzemski, Cedric Mullins, all fine players, all capable of helping a roster in specific roles. None of them move the needle the way Tucker does. Tucker is the complete package in a way that's genuinely rare in modern baseball. Over the last 3 seasons, he's averaged .287 at the plate with 31 home runs, 104 RBIs, and 22 stolen bases per year. That's not just good, that's elite across every category that matters. He hits for average, which means he's not just relying on power to produce. He drives in runs consistently, which is what you need from your middle-of-the-order bats. And he steals bases efficiently, adding another dimension to his game that forces opposing pitchers and catchers to account for him even when he's on first base. Defensively, Tucker posted 12 defensive runs saved last season with an outs-above-average rating that ranked him among the top 10 outfielders in baseball. That matters enormously for a Dodgers team that prides itself on excellent defense at every position. Mookie Betts is a Gold Glove caliber defender wherever you put him. Freddie Freeman is a perennial Gold Glove first baseman. Adding Tucker gives them another elite defender in the outfield, which means fewer runs allowed, which means more wins. Defense wins championships just as much as offense does, and Tucker brings both. Now imagine this lineup for a second, and really let it sink in. Mookie Betts leading off, setting the table with his combination of power and patience. Shohei Ohtani hitting second, the most dangerous hitter on the planet. Freddie Freeman batting third. The veteran presence who never seems to make a mistake at the plate, Kyle Tucker, hitting cleanup. Another lefty power bat who can go deep to any part of the park. Will Smith batting fifth. One of the best hitting catchers in baseball, Max Muncy sixth. Still capable of launching moonshots even as he ages. Gavin Lux seventh. A switch hitter with speed and gap power. Andy Page's eighth. A young player with massive upside who showed flashes of brilliance. That's not just a good lineup. That's a historically great lineup, the kind that scores 7 runs before you even realize what's happening. It's balanced between left and right-handed hitters, which makes it incredibly difficult to match up against. It's deep, meaning there's no easy outs anywhere. Even your 7 and 8 hitters can hurt you. And it's young enough in key spots that this core can stay together for years while still having veteran leadership to guide them through. October. Pressured Dave Roberts would have complete flexibility with that roster. He could platoon where necessary. He could rest guys without significantly weakening the lineup. He could adjust based on matchups, knowing he's got weapons for every situation. That's the kind of depth that wins championships, plural. Not just one lucky run where everything breaks right, but sustained excellence where you're the favorite every single season. The concern with Tucker, and it's a legitimate one, is his injury history. He's missed significant time over the last 2 seasons with various lower body issues, hamstring problems, shin injuries, nagging stuff that keeps piling up and preventing him from playing a full 162-game season. For a team investing $300 million or more, that's scary. You're betting that he can stay healthy enough to produce consistently, and recent evidence suggests that's not a guarantee. But here's the counter-argument, and it's one the Dodgers are uniquely positioned to make. This organization has proven it can manage player workloads better than anyone in baseball. Look at how they've handled Shohei Ohtani, carefully bringing him back from Tommy John surgery while maximizing his offensive production. Look at how they managed Freddie Freeman through various injury concerns while keeping him productive into his mid-30s. The Dodgers have the medical staff, the analytics, the infrastructure to keep players healthy and performing at high levels even when they have injury histories. If Tucker plays 140 games instead of 160, is that really a problem when you've got depth to cover those 20 games? If he produces 30 homers, 100 RBIs, and plays Gold Glove defense in those 140 games, isn't that still exceptional value? The Dodgers aren't asking him to carry the entire offense like he sometimes had to in Houston. They're asking him to be one piece of a terrifying puzzle, which actually reduces the pressure and physical demands on him. Jeff Passan made an interesting point about the Dodgers' approach to this. He doesn't think they'll be heavy into Tucker at whatever price it takes. He thinks they might offer something similar to what they did with Harper years ago, high AAV on fewer years, betting that Tucker prioritizes money per season over total contract length. But Tucker is 28. This is his one shot at a massive payday. He's not going to take a 5-year deal even if it's $50 million per year when someone else is offering him 10 years at $35 million annually. The total guarantee matters, especially for a player who's already dealt with injuries and knows his body might not cooperate forever. That's where teams like the Mets become dangerous. Steve Cohen doesn't care about payroll constraints. He'll write whatever check is necessary to land impact players. If the Mets decide they want Tucker, they can blow every other offer out of the water financially. Same with the Cubs if they decide this is the offseason to go all in. Same with the Blue Jays, who desperately need to show Guerrero and Bichette they're serious about winning before those guys hit free agency themselves. The Giants are interesting because Buster Posey is now running their baseball operations, and he's made it clear San Francisco needs to get aggressive. They've struck out on every big free agent for years. They watched the Dodgers build a dynasty in their own division while they spun their wheels in mediocrity. Landing Tucker wouldn't just be about adding a great player, it would be about proving to their fan base and the rest of baseball that San Francisco can still compete for elite talent, and yeah, keeping him away from the Dodgers would be a nice bonus from their perspective. But again, culture matters. Winning matters. Tucker has been to the World Series multiple times with Houston. He knows what championship caliber organizations look like. The Dodgers offer him the best chance to win immediately while playing in one of baseball's biggest markets with some of the game's biggest stars. That's not nothing. That's actually everything for a player who's already made good money and now wants to cement his legacy. The Dodgers also have this incredible pipeline of outfield prospects coming: Joe DePola, Zaire, Mike Sirota, James Timms III, who they acquired in the Dustin May trade, Kendall George, who had a breakout season in the minors. These guys are 2 or 3 years away from contributing at the major league level, and all of them have real talent. If the Dodgers sign Tucker to a 10-year deal, they're potentially creating a logjam where these young players have nowhere to play when they're ready. That's a real consideration for a front office that prides itself on developing talent. They don't want to be in a situation where they've got major league-ready outfielders stuck in AAA because there's no playing time available. But here's the thing. You can't let fear of potential future problems prevent you from maximizing your current championship window. The Dodgers are winning right now. Ohtani is in his prime. Freeman is still producing at an elite level. Betts is still in his 20s and playing like a superstar. This is your window. You don't worry about what the roster looks like in 2029. You worry about winning championships in 2026, 2027, and 2028. Dalton Rushing's situation last season is a perfect example of the frustration around prospect development. Rushing had nothing left to prove in AAA. He was dominating minor league pitching, showing he was ready for the next level. The Dodgers called him up, and then he barely played. He couldn't get consistent at-bats because the roster was so crowded. Now, nobody really knows what they have in Rushing because he never got the runway to show what he can do against major league pitching. That's the risk you run when you're constantly adding expensive veteran talent. You create situations where young players can't develop properly. But organizational philosophy aside, the baseball reality is simple. If you can add Kyle Tucker to this roster, you do it without hesitation. You figure out the prospect management later. You figure out the roster construction in 2028 when it becomes relevant. Right now, you're trying to build the best possible team to win championships, and Tucker makes you significantly better immediately. The financial piece is fascinating too. Phillips was right that Tucker probably isn't getting $500 million anymore. His market has cooled slightly because of the injury concerns and because this free agent class isn't as deep as some others have been, but he's still going to command $300 million minimum, probably closer to $350 depending on how aggressive teams get. For the Dodgers, that's completely manageable given the payroll space opening up. $87 million coming off the books gives them enormous flexibility. Even if they give Tucker $35 million per year, they've still got over $50 million to address pitching depth, bullpen needs, and any other roster holes. This isn't an either-or situation. They can have Tucker and still improve in other areas. That's the advantage of being the Dodgers, of having ownership willing to spend, of having a front office that structures contracts intelligently. The marketing angle is real too. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Tucker. That's not just a baseball team. That's a global brand. Ohtani brings the entire Asian market. Betts is one of the faces of baseball in the United States. Freeman is beloved everywhere for his professionalism and consistency. Tucker adds another dimension, another star that casual fans recognize. The Dodgers already draw massive crowds at home and on the road. Adding Tucker amplifies that even further. More ticket sales, more merchandise, more national television appearances. The financial return on investment goes beyond just on-field production. And let's talk about what this means for the championship odds. Odds makers already have the Dodgers as heavy favorites to win the World Series in 2026, even before any offseason moves. If they add Tucker, those odds get even shorter. You're looking at a team that could realistically three-peat, which hasn't been done in modern baseball. The Yankees dominated in the late 90s and early 2000s, winning 3 straight from 1998 to 2000. Nobody's done it since. The Dodgers have a legitimate shot to join that exclusive club, and Tucker would be a massive piece of making that happen. The comparison to super teams in other sports is inevitable. People will complain that it's unfair, that the Dodgers are buying championships, that small market teams can't compete. All of that is noise. The Dodgers are doing exactly what every organization should aspire to do. They're drafting well, developing talent, making smart trades, signing impact free agents, and creating a culture where winning is the only acceptable outcome. If other teams can't or won't do the same thing, that's their problem, not Los Angeles's. Baseball needs dynasties. The sport is better when there are dominant teams that fans can either root for or root against. The Yankees dynasty created countless memorable moments. The Red Sox breaking the curse was compelling because they were facing dynasty-level competition. The Giants' run of 3 titles in 5 years was fascinating to watch. Now it's the Dodgers' turn, and adding Tucker extends that run for years to come. There's also something beautifully ruthless about winning a World Series and immediately looking for ways to get better. Most teams would be celebrating, taking a breath, maybe making minor adjustments. The Dodgers won and immediately started asking what they could do to ensure they win again. That's championship mentality. That's why they're the standard. That's why everyone else is chasing them. So yeah, if Kyle Tucker signs with the Dodgers this offseason, it's not just another big acquisition. It's the move that defines the next era of baseball. It's the moment when the gap between the Dodgers and everyone else becomes almost impossible to close. It's the realization that this team isn't slowing down, isn't satisfied, isn't going to make it easy for anyone. The only question left is whether Tucker recognizes that and decides he wants to be part of something historic, or whether he chases guaranteed money elsewhere and watches the Dodgers win championships without him. Time will tell. But if I'm betting on the Dodgers getting their man. They usually do.